Buckle up, listeners, because today we're diving headfirst into the world of high finance. Well, sort of.
We're talking JP Morgan, but not the glamorous side you see in the brochures.
We've got one employee review that is scathing, to say the least.
One person's experience can be a canary in the coal mine, a sign of something more systemic.
Exactly. So is this a disgruntled employee or a pattern of bad behavior? Let's find out.
We need to see if these complaints line up with bigger trends. In finance, in tech, everywhere really.
Okay, so this review doesn't hold back. Toxic culture, atrocious onboarding, those are direct quotes.
Strong words.
And it gets worse. They claim employees are pressured to work hundreds of extra hours for free.
Unpaid overtime. That's not just unethical, it's illegal in many places, especially concerning in a high-pressure field like finance. You'd think they could afford to pay their people.
Right. And it's not just the hours. This employee calls out the management, too. Says they're all about managing upwards instead of, actually supporting their team.
Managing upwards. Classic. It's all about appearances, making sure the higher-ups are happy, even if it means throwing your own team under the bus.
Exactly. And then there's the pay. Far below market average.
The oldest story in the book. Companies trying to get away with paying people less than they're worth. It's one thing if a company offers amazing perks or the chance to work on really cool projects, but if the pay isn't even up to industry standard, red flag.
Big time. Oh, and get this. The reviewer's advice to management is basically practice what you preach. Like there's this whole disconnect between what JP Morgan says it values and what's actually happening.
Right, it's performative, like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Totally. So the million-dollar question is, how common is this in finance?
That's what we need to figure out. I've definitely heard whispers about JP Morgan's workplace culture. There have even been a few lawsuits, but nothing concrete.
So we don't have enough to say for sure if this is an isolated incident or part of a bigger trend.
Exactly. Though long hours and a cutthroat atmosphere, sadly, that's pretty common in finance.
It's like the industry itself is built on a culture of overwork.
In a way, yeah. Which makes me wonder, does location even matter in all of this? This review was specifically for the Bournemouth office.
Interesting. Could this be a branch-specific issue, maybe down to bad local management?
Possibly. Or it could be that JP Morgan's culture is so pervasive that it allows for these kinds of negative environments to pop up anywhere.
It's a good reminder that even within these massive companies with their global brands and everything, experiences can vary wildly.
Absolutely.
So listeners, what are we supposed to take away from all of this?
That's the question, isn't it? It all comes down to how much weight you give to individual stories. When does a single complaint become a pattern?
Right. So listeners, imagine you're about to accept a job at JP Morgan. This review lands on your desk. What do you do?
Do you brush it off as one person's opinion?
Or do you see it as a warning sign? Something to investigate further?
That, my friends, is something worth thinking about.